Hashtag MSWS crisscross the world and back.
On social media, I did promise you before the news that we'll tell you exactly what the judges said the two coaches did in getting the PSL Coach of the Season award, saying why they won. The achievements of the co-coaching duo in domestic football could not be ignored as they took Sundowns to the DStv Premiership title by a record margin of 16 points, showing themselves to be so far ahead of the rest that it is not really a fair fight. Now, many point to the resources that the pair have at their disposal, but you still have to win games of football, and they have done expertly to keep the squad hungry, adding the MTN 8 title, the Nedbank Cup titles to their honours, and the quarter-final failure of the CAF Champions League will linger, but on the domestic front, they have no peer. I love that last sentence, Coach, saying that on the domestic front, you have no peer. And I know you're a very humble person. You might say, no, there's other coaches, but that's the truth. You've set the standards, and you look at the last couple of seasons, and it is difficult to see what a struggling Sundowns would look like. You agree with that sentiment?
Not as much.
Yeah.
Because I do think, in as much as we did very well this season, if you look at how the season was for the second half of Cape Town City, you have to be worried that if they were to start with that way, and if you look at Pirates very closely, in as much as they miss a lot of chances, but their numbers are suggestive that they can be very competitive if they can start bearing the chances that they create. Stellenbosch, they may have lost some of their key players, but they've also shown that there's something that you must be bothered about. And even in terms of how we played against these teams, it will always show that they are not far away from us. Then you look at Royal AM, what a season for them, for a team that is new in the league. Yes, you may say, if you look at Pirates and Chiefs vis-a-vis Sundowns in the previous season, they are far off. But there are many teams that are coming up that are really posing a threat in that space. And in as much as Sundowns should be worried about those teams, I think Pirates and Chiefs must be more worried about those teams, because already now you've got Cape Town City in the Champions League. You don't have Orlando Pirates. You don't have Kaizer Chiefs. Royal AM is already lingering in that space, and that should be a concern for us as South Africans, because for us as Sundowns as well to probably dominate the continental space, we need a stronger Pirates, we need a stronger Chiefs, we need all these other competitors, so that what Coach Rhulani was saying, for the team to stay focused and know that each and every game is a do or die, that will help us to be able to do better in the Champions League, because we will be involved in games that are always games of consequence in the championship. Then when you have an opportunity to go out and play in the continental space, you are at a good level tactically, game intensity-wise, game temperament-wise, and you also know that there is no room for error, because in the PSL, honestly speaking, we say Marumo Gallants played exceptional football against us.
Yeah.
But the truth is, if we had scored the 5 chances that we got first half, the game was finished.
Yeah.
But because we still missed 4 clear chances, and you still win the match, that is what you might not get in the Champions League. Because in the Champions League, Coach Rhulani will tell you, we played a team that I'm sure both of us, was the first time we knew the name Maniema. But they scored 2 against Sundowns. Who is Maniema? Then they come to South Africa, we show that no, we are a dominant team, we are a better team than you. But the truth of the matter is Champions League has got those smaller margins of making sure that if you miss your chances, we score. We also did well against Al Ahly away from home, to be honest. Yeah. They did what we normally do against them. They missed a little bit more, and we got 1 chance, we finished. And that looked very nice at that stage. So the truth is, there are teams that are coming up. That is the concern that everybody should have, and say, where will our big teams be the following season?
I suppose for the future, because some are going, 7 seasons now without any silverware. but historically, the dominance of those teams. And the reason why I'm swaying in this direction, again, I want to focus quickly on individuals. So Andile Jali comes in, DStv Premiership Midfield of the Season, MTN 8 Last Man Standing, Nedbank Cup Player of the Tournament. I mean, these are crazy accolades for a player that a lot of people said comes to Sundowns. Hey, Petum Kaba. Hey, he's overweight. Hey, he doesn't take football seriously. And this is what the judges basically said. It says they won, and just saying that in any season probably would have won PSL Football of the Season. But the sheer weight of Shalulila's goals and overall performances could not be ignored. So that is how deeply entrenched he was to the big award this season. What has contributed to this transformation of this one individual?
Look, I think first and foremost is definitely the mindset and the change in the mindset from him. I mean, we all know Andile Jali's qualities. It's the same qualities that helped him go to Europe and become a household name in South African football. To have a huge number of international caps for Bafana, and he's won a lot of trophies already in South African football. So nobody can question the quality and the abilities on the pitch to be able to influence football matches. But I think a change in mentality, which can be attributed to the work of all of us in the team. I think each one of us, Steve Kompela, Manqoba, myself, Wendell, I think there's been a lot of work. Even the teammates have been instrumental in that, in terms of the support, but over and above that, I think AJ plays a position where you can't afford to have a game where you are 5 out of 10 or 4 out of 10. You've got to be at your worst. You are a 6 out of 10. And that's what he's done at his. When we say we are complaining a little bit about some of the elements that we would like to see in relation to the principles that we expect from a 6 or a central midfielder for our team. AJ has always given us this level of consistency, which you need, because at any moment where you get from your defensive midfielder or your central midfielder a game that is less than 6 out of 10, then the team struggles a lot, because then it influences so many other things. It influences your build-up schemes. It influences your high press. It influences your rest defensive schemes, and that then is the game of football. It's in possession, out of possession, and what you do in between. So the reality is he's worked extremely hard. He's focused, and there's a very interesting conversation that I had with him at the beginning of the season. But I think that's a story that he must share. Because all he said to me was, "It's okay. I'll show you on the pitch," and I think he's been fantastic. But he's been fantastic because the team has been fantastic. It's very difficult to give any individual some form of recognition if the team is not doing well. It's difficult for the coaches to win Coach of the Season if the players don't win football matches. Coaches win Coach of the Season because the team wins football matches, and the team wins football matches because of the football players. And at the end, that's why I strongly believe that individual awards are nothing but a reflection of the collective and the contribution of everybody involved.
All right, we're going to take a quick break. After the break, I come back with the coaches again, and we discuss further, because I want to stretch this conversation slightly. We've heard the one side, which comes from the national team, Hugo Broos, and his sentiments about, two of your best players that the nation talks about, Zwane on the one side, AJ, who's now been decorated, but still cannot find a place in the national team. I want to get it from the coaches. Don't go anywhere.
Marawa Sports Worldwide.
His name is Maimane Piri.
Going back to 1995, before I signed for Cosmos, one guy was a businessman, the late Themba Nkambule, and then Themba said to me, "Hi man, I'll take you to Sundowns. But I'll sign Amole, we all really big stars, right?" And then Braje went to my mom, gave my mom 10,000. cash.
Close the deal.
Yeah, close the deal. Uzoya matrailini. Mumoshela isikhathi la. Uzongena la kimi la straight uzongena la kimi. Then when I came back, my mom said, I don't want to hear anything about Sundowns. You go straight to Cosmos. So I was supposed to play maybe to trial at Sundowns in 1995.
Mawara Sports Worldwide, Monday to Friday weekdays. Mawara Sports Worldwide. Broadcasting live from under a bridge in Katlaon. Reaction Monday. Not your own.
It has gone 25 minutes after the hour. I always say that the hour and a half travels like it's a 5-minute journey when you're having such good-hearted conversations when it comes to football. And the one thing that you'll always get from the Sundowns coaches, the trio of coaches, is an education. It is not an interview. It's part of our learnership. It's part of what we pay school fees for. It's part of what we go to night school for. It is to learn about the beautiful game of football, and that is exactly what we're getting. Musiwa Ramoloko on Twitter says, congratulations to the two coaches. We really appreciate them for making sure that the supporters are happy all the time. Do ask Coach Rhulani about the 100-meter run. Oh, Kichimile, they even... That's all.
I saw that sprint.
You saw that?
I saw that sprint.
And were you scared you might pull a hamstring?
No, I think that's where we'll base our norms now for our speed in the team.
Sure. I mean, hey, Coach, 100-meter sprint like that could have been, below 9 seconds?
Yeah, look, Robert, I think sometimes we are just pushed by the adrenaline and you know what pushed me with that was that all the principles we've been working on this entire season were evident in that goal.
Yeah.
Talk me through that, because I know, and that's why I say we learn. I learn, and I think you both learn from each other. But the nation would want to learn from that, because you would talk about principles, and those principles come from the training ground, the Klorkop.
Yeah.
So talk me through what exactly happened.
Well, initially it was a corner kick, and then they cleared. Our rest defense was actually very, very good. We then got the opportunity to go the opposite side with Tapelo. Tapelo then put in a cross, which was then cleared. But the funny thing is, Tapelo, after delivering the cross, then inverted, which is a big principle of ours, to have our fullbacks a little bit more in central and to try to stop the opposition from coming out and to try and keep the stove hot, like we would say. We then get the second phase of that, and it then falls again, fortunately, to Tapelo, who then plays a pass to surprise Rhulani from an inverted position. So that's tick number 1 for rest defense. And then surprise Rhulani, one touch dink over the defensive line, which is now tick number 2, because one of the key elements for us is when we play against reinforced defensive blocks is this dink pass, and this it's a pass we've really been working on this entire season. And sometimes it's come out, sometimes it hasn't come out. But this dink pass that Rhulani plays, and then it's the individual quality of the player to play it one touch. So he plays a dink pass, and then it goes to Mngqithi. Now Mngqithi, instead of controlling and looking to be over-elaborative, plays a pass inside into the box. Now normally, in that type of situation, you get a player that shoots. I mean, there's a similar chance, maybe not same, but similar chance that Keita got for Liverpool inside the box, and he decided to go one touch. Now, Mngqithi then decides to play the pass inside. An element that's come out in our corrections so many times to say, how about when we are able to attack on the one side, we have possibilities then to bring the ball into the box, not with a cross, but with a pass. And look for possibilities to then terminate. He plays the pass, again, also qualitative. It's Mngqithi's quality, the ability, after so much exertion and to be ice cold like that, to see the possibilities to make the pass. And then Tapelo takes 2 touches, which again is another element that we've been working on and has come out so many times in our corrections. He controls and he plants it into the back of the net. So those for us when you see all of that combined, I mean, then you are hysterical, and then you are pushed by the adrenaline,
and you run the 100 meters, man.
Yeah, well,
that is fascinating, though, because I mean, the way you describe it and the way you see it, and just after 2 words, I could tell, and I could see Coach Manqoba with the corner of my eye, initially talked about how the setup was, which leads then to say, from a philosophy perspective, you are all in tune, you are all aligned, and therefore the players have no choice but to be aligned. And you mentioned, one of the players that I was going to talk to both of you coaches about as we're heading into the break, and why they're not in the national team. And I hear what Coach Hugo Broos is saying. This is a decorated player, Andy Lejali. There is a Themba Zwane who still has a massive influence, whether he's assisting or scoring or just being part of a team. His presence is always going to cause problems for the opposition. But he still can't find a place, Coach. I saw you before the break. You were shaking your head, probably in disbelief. Do you understand why a Jali as well as a Themba Zwane are not in the national team?
To be honest, I don't think I do understand. But I think I've got a sneaky feeling that I'm sure Coach Rhulani will elaborate better on this issue. But in my opinion, I think if we are subjective as a nation in decisions that we take, and we are not questioned for the decisions that we have taken, and even when the results are not showing that the decisions that we took, because sometimes even myself and Coach Rhulani, Coach Steve would set a lineup. If we don't win the match, then we should be accountable for the decisions that we have taken. But when you have won the match, then you are saying to people, hey, tell those people that are shouting me about Jali and Themba Zwane to keep quiet. This team is on song. For as long as the team is not winning, and these boys are playing for a team that is winning regularly, you will forever have these question marks. What exactly is your selection criteria that kicks them out? For instance, if you say Monare must play against AJ, then you should be able to substantiate why this, not that. The same thing with Themba Zwane, the same thing with Mudau against France is in the bench. And another Sundowns player is starting. These are both our players. But you must be able to say why this one is on the bench in such a critical match when he has played so many highly competitive matches and he has done exceptionally well. And to be honest, I was a little bit surprised that he could not get even one nomination, because I think he had one of the best seasons that you can think of, and probably he profiled himself for even being a player that should be looked at by overseas teams, because his quality was also at another level. But he's not playing. Another player is playing ahead of him. I'm not saying that one should not play, but why? Once you are able to objectively tell us, because maybe the answer that Hugo will give will make us and Coach Rhulani to say, but what are we doing here, Coach Rhulani? Why are we not having this one in our team and take Mudau away? Because maybe Mudau is below the other one. It's very important, because we must also learn from these decisions. But in my opinion, as a coach, I think this country has done a lot of these things even in the past. We are very quick to want to retire players in South Africa, having not found their true replacements. And that has cost clubs, that has cost the national team, and I cannot imagine how it has dropped the standard of some of the teams when you just decide he's 30 years old, he cannot play anymore. Look at Modric. He's playing the UEFA Champions League final and he gives that level of performance at 36. What are you trying to do as South Africans in that space? But maybe because I cannot be able to cover all the cracks, I'm sure my compatriot will give better detail in this issue.
Hey, obviously a sticky issue, Coach Rhulani. I mean, what are your thoughts? I mean, Andy Lejali Zwane being left out. We'll include Letsoalo later because as a top goal scorer, second top to Shalulile, it also gets overlooked. But let's talk about the two players in your camp.
Yeah, Robert, I think it's a bit of a difficult one, because the reality is we've also got to respect Hugo Bross's position as the national team coach, and for sure he's got then the right to select whomever he feels suits the way he would like his teams to play, and like Coach Manqoba says, whoever he feels can help us to achieve the desired results for the national team, because it's not about Hugo Bross, it's not about me, it's not about Coach Manqoba, it's not about Charlie, it's about the nation. 50 million people, 50 million people, and their happiness is far more important than our opinions. But the reality is that first, we've got to be able to substantiate our answers to a point where they give a lot of satisfaction to the people and the masses who follow the game in this country. And when already you've got question marks in relation to the answer that you've given, and also then one of your criteria is not meritocracy, and to say to people, I select the national team based on merit and based on form, then it's okay. It's okay then to be able to choose players who are playing well, and maybe not at a level where they are better than the others, but they are playing well. So, and I'm not sure if you can show me players that are playing better than Andile Jali and Themba Zwane at this moment in time. So I then question meritocracy as one of the principles. And then you speak about consistency, because one of the predominant factors that the coach raises is that he can't have such old players in his team. But then my question is, if Thabang Monare is in the national team ahead of Andile Jali and they are a couple of months apart, then I question the consistency of the opinion, because then you are then saying, okay, then the one is older, but they are a couple of months apart. So it then lingers and says to us, maybe there's many other factors that are driving the national team coach to this direction. The unfortunate part is that when it then starts to get a bit personal, and he then speaks about the weight and the personality, and then we have a responsibility, because we have a responsibility as Andile Jali's coach and as Themba Zwane's coach to defend them, because they defend us on the pitch too. And I've said this even before, to say that if it comes to that position where we speak to Hugo in person and try to find out the exact reasons, and maybe there are certain things that we've got to try to help the players to improve. But certainly, if you look worldwide at this moment in time, Cristiano Ronaldo is not being put on the bench for Man United because he's 36, 37, 38, whatever it is. Zlatan has won now a Serie A title at 40. Yeah. He's back out of retirement and he's playing for Sweden, his national team, at 40 years old, after removing his meniscus. Yeah. Now, you go to Portugal, Ronaldo is playing, Pepe is playing. Yeah. He's a starter at centre-back, Pepe. Lionel Messi starts for Argentina. So these people are saying football is about, are you good enough to give us the results and to help the team to perform on the pitch? And if you are, then you should be on the pitch. And this is some of the deliberations that we have, even at Mamelodi Sundowns, because at Sundowns, we've got so many players who deserve to be on the pitch. And sometimes we are a little bit unfortunate or unfair to some of the players, like an Aubrey Mudiba, for an example, who's had a fantastic Nedbank Cup, but unfortunately we couldn't have him in the starting lineup because of the telepathy and the understanding of what we were looking for that particular game. So. Yeah, I think it needs a personal talk. It needs that meeting that Hugo keeps saying that we keep missing. I'm not sure if Coach Manqoba has received emails, but Hugo has been saying that we haven't been adhering to this call for a meeting with the PSL coaches. But let's wait for that one, Rob, because I think that's the one that we'll use to clear and like men, face to face, and discuss some of these issues in person.
It does make sense, because he's been on record as saying that he's written to the PSL, but he's not had favourable responses coming back to him to try and have the meeting, with all of the coaches. We're going to take another quick break. When we come back from the break, we'll delve further into this. There's a lot of positives, and I can see the messages are coming through. We'll play as many of the WhatsApp voice notes as possible. Coach Rhulani Mokwena is here. Coach Manqoba Mngqithi in studio with us here. SuperSport United in their game against Orlando Pirates. It is 40 minutes played in that game. It is 1-0 to SuperSport United. All to play for still. League has been won. Awards have been given, but the games continue. We'll be back.
Mawara Sports Worldwide.
My Mane Piri is my guest here tonight. A football legend of note. He claims to have been born in 1974. I don't know if that's a football age or...
It's very good that you bring these guys, because sometimes as a general public, you wonder what happens to our heroes, our unsung heroes, I'm going to call them, because once they retire and they no longer required, their service are no longer required to their respective clubs. They vanish from the face of the earth. Nobody talks about them.
The plight of former players, legends like yourself, is never really recognized in this country. Sozo nje sekuthiwe hayi usibanibani yahlupheka, usibanibani is down and out, usibanibani phuza utshwala, is on drugs, is on all of these things.
I don't know why ingalungiswa la ekhaya. Angazwa ingalungiswa la ekhaya.
Mawara Sports Worldwide. Monday to Friday weekdays. Reaction Monday. Not your ordinary Monday. #MSWW.
Good evening, Mr. Marawa. Ukhuluma nasibongelena wamkhwana kamgaya Mathafene. Mr. Marawa, let me congratulate the Nedbank Cup champions, Mamelodi Sundowns, and then congratulate both coaches there, Rhulani no Bab Manqoba, especially Bab Manqoba, because he's coming from South Coast region, if I'm not mistaken, at Mzimkhulu. So I take him as my homeboy. So I wish them all the best in the coming season. As much as I'm a Chiefs fan, but they must also know that we are coming for them. We can't allow them to conquer the PSL for a long time. Thank you, Mr. Marawa.
Good evening, Rob. It's Tebogo here, Rob. Firstly, just want to congratulate Mamelodi Sundowns for winning a treble. For me, Rob, from a distance, it seems like they've got a very strong team. They've got professionals serving different areas to enable the technical team to perform efficiently. And that's what you need, Rob, in modern football, Rob. And again, they've got great minds in those coaches that they've got there. Because, Rob, what won my heart about Coach Rhulani Mokwena is one day when he was on your show, when he said that we coaches have to understand the history of football, interrogate the present football, and also anticipate football of the future. You can clearly hear, Rob, that through that comment, Rob, this man is a modern coach, and that's what South Africa needs, Rob, to progress. And unfortunately was not given an opportunity in that FC, and he's now starting to show that his capabilities are what we need in South Africa, Rob. I just want to wish them all the best. May they continue to flourish and give us competition. I'm a die-hard Chief supporter, but I feel that Sundowns have taken a right direction. I know I had tipped John Maduka to be a coach of the season, but Sundowns have shown when they won the third trophy over the weekend that they've got all the necessary expertise to clinch everything on offer, Rob. Thank you so much.
Good evening, Mr. Marawa. Good evening to your esteemed listeners. Good evening to the two gentlemen there. Let me start by congratulating them. I've just got a question to the two coaches. While I'm not jealous of their success, but I would like to ask whether they feel they've done enough to justify the resources at their disposal, especially considering the fact that they didn't do very well in the CAF Champions League. I would also like to ask whether do they think that maybe having too many quality players at their disposal can end up being a disadvantage in some way because they really do not know who to pick on a particular day. Thank you, Mr. Marawa. I enjoy your program every day. Edgar from Pulugwan.
Hey, Marawa, the Tiger's father from Durban. Hey, I marvel how Sundowns is playing. Those guys are really on the beat. But it's time now for us to urge all the PSL teams to stop this of dominance by Sundowns. Enough is enough. It has to stop. PSL has to be more competitive. Nothing against Sundowns, but Icon. We have enough now. Yabong.
Good evening, Marawa. Speaking to Skhumbuzo here from Middleburg, Mpumalanga. Can you please ask my coaches there, how did they foresee the equalizer from Marumo Gallants? Because where I was sitting, I saw an offside there. So I would like to hear their comments, because they mustn't only complain when the team loses. The team has won, but if the decision is incorrect, they can please come out. And I will listen to your radio.
Thank you so much indeed. The dominance of Mamelodi Sundowns making people having sleepless nights. Which one do we start with? Do you get confused with the quality players that the listeners are saying you have? When you have such an array of quality players, do you get confused? Now, who do you choose? Or is it just a luxury that you have and you make the most of it, and hence the trophies that are here? I don't know who wants to have a bite at that one.
Personally, I've never been confused. I'm not sure about my partner here, but confusion, no.
It's not your thing.
Yeah, but yes, the fact is, when you've got so much at your disposal, that's why you also need to be working with very good coaches around you, so that decision is not an emotional decision of who should play ahead of who. And it's not sentimental, it's meritocracy, it's what we think for that particular match. Because one would always say, why not this one and that one? And that's why we are coaches, you are not a coach. So it's always important to understand that sometimes we will make decisions based on an extensive work that was done in analyzing the opponents. And when you are busy maybe complaining at that time, Tina, we are saying, I think this guy that you are complaining about is not really the cause of the problem that you saw. But with humility, there are times where our decision is based on what we have seen in the previous matches, but on that particular match, we don't get the performance that we were looking for. And I always say, people that do not have their teams playing are always the fortunate ones, because they are the ones who always say, why this one was playing instead of this one? Because now this one has not played well. But if we all say, beginning of the match, do you think, who do we think must come out of this team before the match starts? You will say, no, this I think this team is going to win. But the moment we lose, but they started with this one. He should not have started. So sometimes football has got its own things, because we plan for a game that has not started. And we don't know the conditions of the weather, the pitch, and everything that will happen on that particular day, and what is going on through the mind of each and every player on that particular day. That's why sometimes you are expecting a big performance, you don't get that big performance. Maybe you expect a performance at first half, you don't start very well. And if you are ignorant, you say, this team is going to lose today. But the second half is a completely different performance, and that's why there must be coaches to guide and lead the process, and also players to help each other to make each one better. And today, in the discussions we have earlier, our fortunate thing is that we are having a team that has got probably more than 20 players that have been captains before, and that makes you to have extra eyes to make the team to function, because once the game starts, maybe we've got very little influence as coaches from the outside.
Okay, fair enough. So there you have it on record. Coach has never been confused. Straightforward, straight shooter. Any of the questions, Coach, that you want to handle from those voice notes? And I know that the one talked about the dominance of Sundowns, just calling upon other teams to end the dominance. But you've set a standard. You can't go back now and try and fit in, because I hear this quite a lot, as if to say, now you must start infusing being ordinary into Mamelodi Sundowns, when your focus is, yes, have a clean sweep of domestic trophies, but also dominate on the African continent, which has always been about the second star. So if now you're going to start weakening the systems, surely that's not what you are about.
No, Robert, the reality is some of the things that we've seen this season we may not see next season. So the quality that we've seen from some of the teams and the teams will get better. Pirates will be better next season. SuperSport definitely will be better next season. Chiefs will be better next season. Stellenbosch will be better next season because now they've got also a little bit more money from the sales. And Royal AM are going to be in, well, by the looks of things, in the Confederations Cup, so that will stimulate the team. So teams will get better. Our responsibility at Sundowns is to play against ourselves. And that also brings back to what Coach Manqoba was alluding to with regards to KPIs and being extremely objective. And one of the most important things I think we've brought into the team this season is the scientific and the data usage in relation to consistently monitoring our performances and the key aspects that are important to the fundamental game principles. So we are very objective, and we look at things from that sort of perspective, and that allows you to move away from this subjective or this emotional space where if I like the player must play, or if I don't like the player mustn't play. But whoever deserves to be on the pitch with us will always be on the pitch. But sometimes, and one thing that Elon Musk said, and I think I've shared this with the team before, is sometimes there's this misconception that a decision is only right if the outcome is right. Or the decision is wrong because the outcome is wrong. And there are a lot of good decisions and right decisions that are taken, even from a selection perspective and a preparation and training perspective. But sometimes the outcome is wrong. Right. It doesn't mean the decision to start this player instead of that player was wrong. And sometimes maybe it's the uncontrollables, it's the weather, the red card, the form because of certain elements, because you're dealing with a human element. And with human elements, there is a lot of unpredictability and levels of inconsistencies because there's a lot of factors that come into performance. But the reality at the end of the day is that we try our best to make the right decisions all the time. Sometimes the right decisions are unfair to certain players, and we say that to them, and they understand, because we are going to be unfair to the players because of the quality of players that we have. But we try our level best to make the right decisions, and even if it's unfair to a certain player, but we put the club first and we try to make the right decisions.
Okay, Wandile Mtana, thanks, Coach, for that. I think it's a brilliant breakdown of that, because we don't understand what happens, and I mean we can learn about football from what we saw within the EPL 2 weeks ago when Man City clinched the title. Is the emphasis of the backroom staff and the number of people that came out before the coach came onto the field. I mean, those were people in probably about 20 or more. Maybe I'm being conservative in terms of that, but that's what football has become. It's what you do, and I know Coach Rhulani always stresses the technocrat aspect of coaching, is that you sit down, you monitor how many kilometers a player has been able to cover in a particular game, and you draw it down to those levels of being specific. Straight question. Are you going to take a break? Do you breathe a little bit? Do you start planning on what players you need in the new season? You go into the transfer market. You don't need the transfer market. What will be happening soon, Coach? And I know that you've got an important parade as well as we start to wrap things up. So maybe just that dual question that I've thrown to you.
I wish I can answer this one with my wife next to me, because we always fight about this. I'm saying, no, next week we are going for a break. Then the next thing, my iPad is in front of me, and she's talking next to me here, and I'm busy. I'm already in football. I cannot live without seeing something that is happening in football. Yes, there will be a break from going to training. There will be a break from meeting the players every day. But I doubt that as coaches we really have a break without any interaction with football.
Right.
It's very difficult.
Impossible.
It's very difficult.
But are you going to be aggressive in the transfer market?
If aggression means getting a quality player,
yeah,
I think the team would go that route. But if aggression means bringing 18, 20 players, I don't think that is what we are looking for as coaches.
The parade, tell me more about when and where.
On the 1st, I think it's Wednesday, we will be parading with our supporters, the Yellow Nation that has been there with us from the beginning, and during hard times when they couldn't even come and watch the matches. So we will be starting very early in Pretoria. I think we will be covering all the areas that we normally cover when we are doing a parade. Mm-hmm. And it is just probably a way of showing gratitude to our supporters. Not that we are showing off, but gratitude that they were with us in all these moments. And if you were to check, last season we won the championship. We could not even see them because of COVID. Season before that, we won a treble. We could not even meet them because of COVID. And this season, we've got a treble again. And we've got an opportunity now to say, let's be together in this. We have tried even to bring them in our training sessions to just show that level of gratitude, because they've been very good to the team. They've supported the team in good times and in bad times. So that's why we want to share that moment on the 1st with them.
Okay, we'll give them details. I've got exactly 40 seconds left. I'll throw that to you, Coach. Coach Manqoba spoke about if he's going to go for one quality player, he would go. Is that quality player Bongani Zungu?
Bongani Zungu.
Which one?
Who's Bongani Zungu? Who's Bongani Zungu?
There's a player who's also been left
out
Bongani
Zungu. No, but Bongani Zungu, top football player. Yeah, he's a player that we've heard is in the market. We don't know, but he's a former Sundowns player. His alliance is to the Yellow Nation, and let's see. Let's wait and see. We play the waiting game until the window closes. There's a lot of possibilities.
Okay.
There's a lot of possibilities.
So we put it on record. It's a possibility.
But no, I said there's a lot of possibilities. There's a lot of possibilities. There's a possibility that I might stay an extra couple of minutes with the show.
Yes.
But there's also a possibility that you might run out of time.
Which is what we've just done, 7 o'clock. So we have to be gone because you still have national duty and continental duty to do in front of the television.
And that's what possibility means. It could be a possibility.
Yes. But and on those possibilities and probabilities of the possibilities, I want to thank you guys for being true champions and for honoring this conversation. Coach Manqoba Mngqithi, as always, I salute, I respect. Coach Rhulani Mokwena, welcome to the bridge. I salute, I respect. In all the possibilities, one thing that is definitely possible is your league champions. Catch you again tomorrow.
#MSWS crisscross the world and back.